Ding.
Ding. All right. Waiting on my go ahead on from my IT director. All right, welcome everyone to our Boyle County Fiscal Court meeting, July the 9th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And Madam Clerk, has this meeting been advertised and do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Thank you. Magistrate Sleeper, would you like to open us with the invocation?
Sure. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we look back on the freedoms that we celebrated this past week on July 4th, and we give you thanks for those who have sacrificed so much for us to have these freedoms. And we pray for those and thank you for those who continue to be vigilant in seeing that these freedoms continue. We ask, Lord God, that while there are many things that vie for our attention, that we would be faithful in pursuing the policies and the expenditures and the values that are best for the people of our Boyle County. We pray for our first responders and those, Lord, all those who are involved in providing for our safety and for our armed services, Lord, we pray for them. We ask now that you continue to bless our meeting, bless those who have attended here today, and we pray all this in our Lord Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We have a special guest with us this morning that is going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. We have Simon Cullen, who is the son of Magistrate Jason and Mrs. Cullen. And Simon, if you will come up and lead us in the pledge. Y'all stand, please.
No, stand right there. They're fine.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You made me seem wonderful.
That's a good job.
And I have a certificate. And can we say that Simon is representing KSD this morning?
He is.
All right. So
He always represents KSD.
you have got a
I
certificate of
reluctantly think that
recognition
even
for
the
saying the
magistrate ought to be
pledge.
there.
Come on, Dad.
Okay. Sorry.
And Mom.
Mom.
Mom and
Yeah.
Dad. Mom and Dad. All right. You want to hold it? Okay.
Hold your certificate like that.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
You guys
thanks
don't
for
have to
bringing
do
it.
anything. I
Thank
can't.
you.
Have a good day. Awesome job. It's always good when we can get young people in the courtroom and have them do things for us, so
Absolutely.
yeah, pretty awesome. Okay, we have our minutes from the June 25th meeting, and do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Magistrate Voters, or a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. Is there any discussion on the minutes?
Judge, since I was out of state, I think I should abstain from the vote.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, I will vote in this being as we only have 3 here, so all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Budget transfers, Ms. Shannon?
I have a budget transfer from the county attorney's assistant salary line to a new line for recycling a prior year claim. We had a where we have to send back grant money that we did not use, and we did not have that in the budget. So we need to create that line item and then move money into that.
Okay. Motion to
Make a
approve.
motion to approve it.
Magistrate Harmon, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Magistrate Bodner. Okay, any discussion on the transfer? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, cash transfers?
I have 2 cash transfers. I need to transfer from the general fund to public works fund, $20,000. And from the general fund to the fleet fund, $2,000.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Magistrate Ellis, is there a second?
Second.
Magistrate Sleeper, any discussion on cash transfers? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next is our bills. Miss Elena?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Alright, so.
New platform here.
New platform,
Yeah.
new software.
Okay.
So, my first question before we approve the bills, if you all don't mind, I sent out 2 different reports. One is a claims register detail and one is a claims register summary. The difference between the 2 is the detail will show you multiple lines on the purchase order and what I will be paying on the claim through each appropriation line of the budget or expense line. The claims register summary will just show you the purchase order and the total amount of the claim per vendor. So I wanted to know which one you all prefer to see.
I think I like the detail.
The detail?
I prefer the detail.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Good deal. Alrighty, so we'll go with the detail, and then we have in your packets, the original total amount of the bills was $384,583.46. We're gonna add on the City of Danville occupational tax bill and the Boyle County Fiscal Court occupational tax bill. The City of Danville's is $387,139.39.
Thank you.
The fiscal courts is $287,000, or $287,618.64. The reason those cannot be included in the bill packet is because the software is not set up to cut those checks yet, with the 99 being the tax fund. So I'm gonna have to handwrite those checks.
Oh, that's why.
All right, that brings you to the total of $1,059,341.49. Now, I also left you a list that looks like this.
Yeah.
These are yearly bills that we have to pay. So it's for some of our platforms that we use, like Civic Plus, then we have our Keiko's Workers' Comp claims, or no, not claims, I'm sorry, that's just.
Keiko's
Premium.
explicitly and solely workers' comp for the 304.
Correct, yes. That's for your general public works, your jail, your EMS, for all your departments. Then we have the Springbrook yearly costs, and you'll see the note out to the side that came in under budget. We were able to shave $8,799.27 off of that original bill.
That's good.
So-
That's good.
Yes, it is. Then we have our membership dues for Keiko at $1,100. We have the All Lines Fund Ethics Commission Board. That is their premium, their insurance premium. It's $1,668. And then we have the JAMP software, which is what tracks our Apple products that we have throughout the court. That total is $349,324.78, and when you add that to the $1 million we had just talked about, you come with $1,408,666.27 for your grand total to pay.
One more time.
Yeah.
$1,408,666.27.
Grand total. Okay, is there a motion to approve the bills?
Make a motion.
Magistrate Harmon, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Cullen. Any discussion on the bills? Everybody good? All right.
Good?
All those in
All right.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, a couple meetings ago, or a little while ago, it was asked that we bring back the United Way Joint Resolution for discussion under old business. I will open the floor up to whoever would like to discuss what we have previously approved and signed to be a partner with City of Danville, Fiscal Court, and United Way. So, the pleasure of discussion is yours.
Well, I think looking at it, we've not set aside any funding for it, and the agreement says that we will fund. And so I think in order to not be in any sort of breach of contract, we need to undo the resolution or whatever this is and move away from what we thought it was versus what it actually is.
Okay, so the resolution does state that the fiscal court, well, the city and the county, will support them financially, and their respective budgets as approved by their respective legislative bodies. That we will designate up to 2 potential members of the respective bodies to serve on the Heart of Kentucky United Way Health Allocation Panel to determine the best use of annual funding to address homelessness and food security. And then again, it says each will support them financially and their respective budgets. So, we did not budget, you're correct in that, we did not put any funds in the budget for United Way, for this particular.
It would seem that it would render this null and void before we'd even take action on it.
No, it's not gonna render it null and void. I mean, it basically says that,
Resolution.
it's a resolution that says that we'll fund it.
What worries me is it says we'll fund it, but we don't have a specific amount, so then you could go one way or the other with that, you know.
But we don't have anything set aside in the budget
I know.
for even $5.
So if we dissolve this resolution, then does that also mean that we lose the 2 potential members on the United Way Health Allocation? Which
think
is
so.
Steve and Paula.
It was Jamie and Paul.
I'm sorry, Magistrate Gay, Magistrate Governor. So,
Was that in the form of a motion?
Well, I make a motion, we go ahead and dissolve the resolution with United Way and the City of Danville.
I second that motion.
okay, we have a motion by Magistrate Cullen, a second by Magistrate Ellis. Is there any discussion on dissolving the resolution?
I like the resolution, but we do need to make it more specific. I mean, is the city is a part of that, are they going to be a part of that same?
Commissioner Series, can you speak to that, or?
You might as well just have him come
Not
up and
this
sit
year.
down all the time.
Yeah.
Not this
Yeah,
year.
it's not happening this year, it just didn't work out.
Okay.
Both parties, there was a couple of sticking points, which I think you all had voiced the same concerns, and they weren't ready to go together. Now, the health department may be a player here that might be a bit more suitable when it comes to homelessness, so.
Did you
I
say
think
the
there's
city
some-
is still in the resolution, or the city's dissolved the resolution?
Out.
Out, okay.
City's
So,
out.
City's out.
yeah,
okay.
so if they're out, I mean, it's really not if we don't have the 3 entities, correct, it wouldn't be,
Yeah.
so I think we have to do that.
As fiduciaries of our entire budget, we are the ones accountable, and this gives a very distant control over the funds that we're entrusted with, and that's the reason I second the motion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I had intended to vote nay on this, however, with the city dissolving theirs, we don't have the.
You don't have a partnership
We don't have
anymore.
the partnership that we did have.
Right,
so,
that was
you know,
my concern, yeah.
Yeah. so.
Okay.
No problem.
All right, y'all ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion to dissolve the joint resolution between the Board of Commissioners of Danville and the Fiscal Court, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
But we will address it at a later time, look back into it when.
You can always bring it back
You know,
up.
we bring it
Okay.
back
You
up.
can always
Yeah.
bring it back up.
That's what I want.
All right, at this time,
I think it's important to understand what Rick said, though, is that the health department has probably a better path forward than the United Way.
thank you.
Well, the health department was involved in this, it was 3 partnership.
Yeah, no, I'm aware, but once you start losing the actual investment of the money that goes directly to United Way instead of where it's intended to kind of, we gotta look for other options.
Did you see anyone else out there when you came in? Is the county clerk's office?
Hope is over it.
She's in there, okay. All right. Apparently she didn't want to participate, so. All right, next on the agenda is our years of service appreciation. The first one goes to Brad Ellis for his 30 years of service. And Brad is not able to be here today, but Director Rogers, would you like to accept his certificate?
I will do.
Okay.
Gotta be a fine man with that last name.
We appreciate Brad and all
30 years, that's
he
great.
has done for EMS over the last 30 years. Okay, and then we have Deputy TJ Wren, 5 years of service. And we thank you very much for your service. Yeah. And then we have Hope Niklarz with 5 years of service, and she is in the county clerk's office. And she may be busy, she may have customers, so we'll just go right on. But we want to thank all of our employees and support them. We recognize those people that are here and that stick with us and that serve our county well. IT Director Bill Nichols. He usually just pops in. The man behind the curtain.
Come on in,
He's
Ben.
running down the steps.
Ben has left the building.
Ben, it sure has. All right. Good morning.
I was invited here to update you all. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Some of the things that we accomplished last year. The courthouse is currently on a 1 gig up and down fiber connection to the outside world, which makes us more efficient and able to do things a little quicker. All of our firewalls have been updated so that we can be protected, and we also use an endpoint product on our PCs that communicates with the firewall so that we can be proactive in the event that we have some kind of attack or ransomware attempt. Basically what that means is if somebody would make that mistake to open that email or open that link, the firewall and the computer will communicate with each other, and the firewall will shut the computer down off the network so that it doesn't spread. We have managed to, the KVS, while the KVS virtual server that we use is still fairly old, it was sitting on 16-year-old equipment, hardware. We have managed to move that to new hardware, and so we can make it live a little longer while we try to migrate to a more current application. Most of the wiring projects in the Government Services Center and the courthouse are finished. There's still some customizing to do left to support wires, to do some things that are kind of after the fact, that as we move into the new projects this year, those will get finished up and done. We've also started to, through the county clerk's office, which got this started just before this administration, we started adding our own security cameras in the courthouse. It started with the county clerk's mandated statutes where they had to have eyes on all the voting equipment for 30 days after the election. So we got that in place, and then we have gradually, bits and pieces, started putting cameras in locations where we can kind of keep an eye on the courthouse if anything happens that's outside of the AOC type stuff. We are also planning to expand that a little bit. This year we're going to have a camera headed down this sideway right here, because I know we've had some activity there that we want to keep an eye on and stuff that there. And also I think we're going to probably set up cameras at both entrances as well, just to have, that way we have some sort of accountability on if anything does happen in the courthouse. In last month, one of our last things we did last year was we set up and got completely ready for the new Fiscal software. The server was ready to go by the 3rd week in June. They came in and I think trained the folks in an afternoon on the software, or at least got them acquainted with the software.
Introduced them.
And we are currently using that software, so that server is now in place. We also have set up a way that everybody can connect to that server, since now it is an on-premise server, as they call, or on the ground. They can still work from home with use of VPN and the way we've got some things set up with that server. So we still managed to make it pretty mobile. Another thing we've started to institute, we started last year, is the Wi-Fi network that we have in the courthouse. You'll see several out there. There's a Boyle County Courthouse admin, which is primarily for the people that work here at the courthouse. Not necessarily everybody will say in the fiscal court main offices, that's who that network's for. There's the sheriff's network, the BCSO Wi-Fi, and there's also the county attorney's network. Now they can get on that Wi-Fi anywhere in the building. And we're getting it to the point where they'll be able to print to any of their printers on their network anywhere in the building. So that allows them to do that. We also have a completely free to the public, doesn't require a password, guest network that they're allowed to use while they're in the courthouse. It is completely separated from anything that we do as far as business. It's isolated, and the only thing they have access to is the internet. So, and we monitor that as well. We also have, one of the issues we were starting to have with computers and phones, when you think about the phones, you don't think much about it, but we added probably, with all the county clerk phones, the PVA phones, and all of our phones here in the fiscal court offices, we put that on the same network that we were running our computers on, which that's a lot of devices on one network. So what we have done is we've divided the phones out and put them in their own lane.
That's good.
So they have their own lane, and that's kind of what we're going to start doing with the departments, just to let you know how we're doing that. So everybody kind of has their own lane, and hopefully it'll be a little more like an express rather than an inner city street, that type of thing. This next year I was looking at what we were getting ready to start working on, and I think I dubbed it the year of the camera. Some of the things that we're going to start working on, and actually this month will be real quick, we're going to start replacing, we have cameras out at some of the convenience centers that were consumer grade cameras, and they are starting to fail. We're going to upgrade those to a more commercial grade camera like we have here. That will also give Angie the ability to track and look on her phone for things if she needs to. We're going to do the same thing. I think we're planning to do the same thing in Constitution Square. Again, we tried to use a consumer type product, which is okay, but in the long run, I think if you really want the reliability, you've got to go with a consumer grade camera, and so we're going to start working on getting those upgraded. We also have, we've run a lot of, we're probably out at the jail, I think we ran somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 new cameras. And we tried to get those in as quick as we could. So consequently, the wiring just kind of comes in and goes into the rack. One of the projects that Brian has allowed me to consider doing was doing tidying that up, making it so that it's easier to manage. And then once we get that done, that will help some of we're having the same IP problems out there now that we were having here, because we've got 100 cameras. They've got handheld units that require an IP address. They've got all their computers that require an IP address. All the phones require an IP address. And if you don't start getting that under control and in their own lanes, they'll walk all over each other and they'll kind of mess up.
By feedback or?
Just tends to degrade the service. Makes it slow, or it may not connect. Just because of so much traffic on it's just like, I don't know if you've ever tried to get on one of the freeways in Los Angeles at rush hour.
Boston was bad.
That's the best analogy I can tell you, because you've only got so much lane width or bandwidth,
yeah,
and you start adding stuff into it, it just really slows things down. If you can get it to where you can divide that stuff up to where, you know, this lane's going all the way out here, this lane's going this way, and that, it just helps it make it more efficient and more easier to use. Another thing I'm going to take a look at that I don't think will take a whole lot to do, actually won't take, I don't think it'll take any money to do. Because of the new firewalls that we have in place, I'm looking at trying to set up a site-to-site VPN between the firewalls, which would allow the Government Services Center to get to the Fiscal software without having to use VPN. It'll be an automatic thing. I think that'll just make that a lot easier and more efficient. We also are going to be moving our email. Does not change the addresses. You guys won't see anything behind the scenes. But what we're doing is we're going to move from the business class service from Microsoft to the government class service, which will make our emails more compliant. This will also allow some encryption for EMS when they want to send emails and stuff. A lot of times they have to send information that's very private, and if it's not encrypted, it can get you in trouble. So that's what we're going to do there. And last but not least, because of all the new renovations we've done with the network and the IT stuff, I'll be developing a new disaster recovery plan that I hope to bring before you here in the next couple of months for approval.
Would you like to give an update on the EOC?
The EOC.
What you've got ready so far?
Well, the EOC, I guess what we probably need to do is test run it here. One thing, I think the only thing I have left to do is activate this one over here, this set here. But in the event that we had to put together the EOC today, I can activate 4 phones and I've got an EOC network already set up to go to that would basically take priority over everything on our network. Both of these sets, all 3 sets will run off the computer, or you can run them like, you can use Wi-Fi or something to run a local channel or some kind of weather service. This particular set has its own radar system on it that will show you the weather and stuff, but I think we could be pretty, God bless you. We could be pretty efficient if we had to be right now. I'm pretty well ready to go. There's a couple of more tweaks I want to do just to make it a little nicer. But one of the things that I would probably do in an EOC situation is set these up like we did in the classroom. And I have a USB and plugs set up that I can clamp onto the table, so anybody that's sitting there will have 3 plugs and 2 USB ports to charge phones or do whatever, and it would run right up the middle, and they'd be able to charge a phone or plug in a computer, and then of course we'd use the Wi-Fi for their internet connection.
Just for those viewing from home, EOC.
Emergency Operations Center.
Thanks.
All right. Any questions for Awesome Bill?
Yes, sir.
Cameras at the jail, I know where they're all at, because I put most of them in.
We've put in probably 50 since you've been gone.
Yeah.
50 plus more.
My question is the outside, which we have to fund, all the inside was funded through canteen sales.
Right.
And not out of taxpayers' money. But we need more coverage outside.
And that is one thing that we are going to address this year. I think Brian is going to allow us, we have the tech grant money from the new company that's doing all that, I think that we can use some of that money for that as well. So it's not going to be canteen money, it'll be actually tech money for the jail itself. And we're looking at, I think right now, as I recall, that estimate was coming in at around $7,000 or $8,000 to replace and redo all the cameras outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of blind spots.
Right. And the cameras are just old. They're you know, their quality of, you can't really, I mean, you might be able to see a figure walk across, but you'd never be able to.
A lot of them are the age of the jail.
Oh, I think probably all of them are.
Black and white.
I think all of them are.
Yeah.
But that is on my agenda for, that's why I said it's the year of the camera.
Okay. Mr. Ellis?
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Judge. Recent issues have made me acutely concerned about ransomware and scams. That's why on Friday, at the same time we're getting the information from Katina about today's meeting, I see something that's unusual. I think for me, I double check and it's not on the agenda, so I didn't touch it. It says payroll admin. We probably all got it. You probably knew what to do with it. I didn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
I'm going to take a poll here, okay? Who here knows the email address of our payroll admin? I know you do. Does anybody?
I just typed in
It's
Shannon.
Shannon.Green@boylecountyky.gov. If you look at that email, it's coming from some strange place at iCloud.com.
So I was.
You were right. So have you done your before training?
Guilty as charged. But I didn't open it.
Good choice.
And you can also do fish alert.
And that's one thing. Well, another thing that we've instituted last year that has had some reasonable success, I think, is the know before training. And basically what that is a company that helps me test you all, for lack of a better way to put it, to see if you'll open a link. And the nice thing about it is if you do open the link, it just kind of goes, ha ha ha, I got you, go take this training. Instead of ransomware and stuff like that. Out of the 32 clicks that we got in the last email campaign, that people actually clicked on something in the email to do it, of those 32, 30 of those people had not ever taken a test.
So we really need to make sure that
You
we're
need to
doing
make
the
sure
know
that your
before
people
you-
do those.
Yeah.
They're not long. I know that they're,
They're not long at all.
they're 5-10 minutes
Yeah.
at the most, but
I
they
thought-
help you.
I thought they were ransomware, that's why I kept deleting them.
So I am not alone.
No, you're not alone,
No,
baby.
you're not alone. But
Almost
it
slightly a level
it
higher.
really surprised me when I saw that figure, though, because I get feedback on all that, and I've got the list of the major users in the county that are email users, and it tells me what they do with these emails and how they do. And I was just, when I started looking through them, I'd go back and then I'd go back to see who did the training. Almost 95% of the people that clicked on the mail or did whatever that they weren't supposed to do had never even opened the first initial training.
So a word to our wise department heads would be to make sure your employees
Please.
are doing the know before you go.
Yeah. But we were in the green for a long time, and then when I did this last campaign and we had 32 people click on it, it kind of got up into yellow, so they're kind of.
So that, this one was not an ad campaign, this wasn't something you sent out to test us to see if we'd open it?
It's by know before. Now they're gonna try their best to trick you.
Alright.
One of the things that they've used, and I've seen it done before, is they'll say IT@BoyleCountyKY.gov. That's where it looks like it comes from. They have a link in there that goes to some other place that's probably their gotcha page. But I don't use that IT@BoyleCountyKY.gov. I mean, it's either to me or to support.
But when I received that, I knew that was probably not good. Do you want us to send that to you? The only reason I sent it to you is one time you said, I said, is this, spam? Which I was
If you have
99% sure it was, but.
If you have a question, don't hesitate to
Just
call
to
me, send me
forward
it to me, do whatever.
Okay.
You also, if you use Outlook on your devices, in Outlook now you have the option in some place or another where it's either in the 3 dots or whatever. It's called phishing alert, PHISHING alert. Just click on that. What it'll do is it'll open up a little box that says, hey, okay, you want to send this phishing alert, boom. And then it'll remove it from your email box. At that point then, if it's not one, they'll come back and they'll send you an email that says, hey, this isn't really a scam, it wouldn't have hurt you, but it is a scam, or it could be, it might be just spam, where you get all the trash in there, but it's not really gonna hurt you. But other ones, they'll come back and say, yes, this was an actual attempt to get information from you.
Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
not only do we love you as an employee, but we appreciate you as our IT director and for all the work you do to keep our county safe.
I do my best.
Thank you.
If y'all ever have any questions, don't hesitate to call me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Bill had a good opportunity, he started from scratch.
That's right.
Now he's scratch.
That's right, he did. All right, next up is our Public Works Director, Roger Johnson. Salt bids.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before he starts, thank you for that urgent day of 93-degree weather and closing on nightfall. Big tree in my district, and they were out there within minutes.
Yeah.
It blocked a road entirely.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do.
Appreciate
That's
it.
what we're paid to do. Good deal. I want to do salt bids.
Salt bids.
All right, with KCO, they got salt bids this year. And I think they came up with 4 different companies. The one that I would suggest that we do, and we've used them in the past, is what they call Magic Salt. We can either get it plain or we can get it treated. They're the only ones that
It's like all all-purpose seasoning, is that what it is?
Yeah, yeah, all seasoning salt. Now, they're the only ones that will let, that have treated salt in Kentucky. So I would like for us to, the bid on the treated salt was 195, regular salt was 110, I think. So what I would like to do is use the magic of Kentuckiana to make the bid for them.
100% treated.
Well, we can get either one. And most of the time, and I think Dwayne done this before, during 30-degree weather, we would just use regular salt. Then when we get into January and February, where it's a lot colder, then we would use the treated salt, so we could.
So we have some of both.
Right, right. So if we go with Magic of Kentuckiana, then we'll get a little bit of the both. The other three companies wouldn't
They didn't
provide.
bid treated?
They didn't. No,
Okay.
they didn't provide treated salt.
Make
Okay.
a motion, we approve the Magic of Kentuckiana.
Okay, we have a motion by Magistrate Cohen. Is there a
Second.
second? Second by Magistrate Ellis. Any discussion on the magic salt? Treated salt. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. And next is paving.
Well, on the paving part, I just want to get everybody's okay, so we can, so I can get this turned in to Allen Company and get this started.
Now,
So,
these roads have been assessed, and these are the worst roads.
worst roads that we
In our
have.
county?
We've me and Trilly and the guys, me and her has traveled some of these roads and looked at them, and then feedback from the guys that's out there every day driving up and down through there, and this is the list of roads we came up with that were the worst, and just want to get everybody's, and if you notice there on South Buster Pike, that one is already funded,
Yeah.
so.
And we're gonna approve that later on. That was that late.
So I'll make a
out.
motion, we approve this paving list.
Good deal.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Magistrate Cohen, second by Magistrate Ellis. Any discussion?
Yeah, can I ask that waterworks be put at the top? Mainly because it was supposed to be done last fiscal year,
Right.
but because of the,
Well,
the grant or something we were gonna do
grant
with-
or something.
yeah,
we
that didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
and so now that
Right.
road's another year down the road.
Right.
And so
Right.
I'd
So
like
these
to-
are not in the order.
I understand
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
But my ask is
Yeah,
when
right.
we send it to Allen
And
Company.
Okay.
And probably that's probably what we'll do, and,
Yeah.
and what they'll probably do is start closer. Of course, you know, Waterworks is not that far away. We can get that area.
I mean, if they were to knock out Waterworks and Buster at the same time, I'm
Right,
happy with that.
exactly,
you know.
exactly.
But Waterworks is bad, it needs to
Right.
be done, it needed to be done last year.
You're exactly
So,
right. I agree with that. And
that's-
we're doing the back mile. We're actually doing from Tibbs Road
Mhm.
to the very end.
Correct.
So that's where we're
Even
at
though
on
that-
Waterworks.
Even though that is far from my district, I've gotten 2 calls about waterworks, so I
Yes.
certainly concur with
Yes.
Magistrate Cullen.
And I can find my list. Yates Road is really
Now,
bad.
it
Yeah,
says
It's on the
fall.
list.
Yeah.
It says fall. Is that because nothing else is available to?
What's that now?
Fall paving list, autumn, September?
Well, that'll be, you know, after July, you know, when I get this turned into him, then we'll get, this will be done before the first of the year.
We're not, first, well, it won't be done in October and November.
Well, we don't know. I mean, we're gonna give this to them, but
And we get on the list.
it'll get on their schedule as to when they do it.
Of course, now I'm lobbying for the sooner the better, because
Yeah, we are
I'm getting
too.
calls on every one of these roads
Right.
in my district.
I was asking about
understand-
Craintown
I understand
Saturday.
it.
Yeah, me too.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to, that's why I wanna do this, and then we got, a new guy at Allen Company that we're talking with, me and Trilly. So we're trying to get this pushed ahead a lot quicker than last year's deal in November.
As far as getting started earlier.
Right. So we worked on that, so I hopefully by, a month from now, when I get this turned into him, maybe we can get started on it.
With West Knob Lick, that's between White Oak and 127, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a question about, the new subdivision that's there. There's
Right.
some water.
Water drainage.
Yeah, so is there gonna be a culvert in there, or,
Well, there's already a culvert there,
but it's
but it's
not getting the water?
It's not getting the water. Well, what they done when they built that subdivision in there, the way they graded the dirt and everything ran to that one corner
Right.
down there. The whole field ran to one corner. Well, when they started building houses in there and putting in streets, well, they had to do something with the water, so they run it,
Across the road to the little lady's,
you
garden.
know. Yeah.
Just floods her garden now.
Well,
So-
the thing about, we sit here and talk about that. If we even put a culvert in, it's still gonna go right in her yard,
I know, if we could.
so I mean, it makes it tough
All right.
to what we need to do
Is that
there.
the city limits?
It's in the city
It's in the
limits,
city limits, yes.
but the contractor that put the subdivision in has kind of rerouted the water, so
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
who does it,
But, well, the contractor should be contacted first to
yes.
see if he can come back and fix it.
All I wanted to ask was make sure you talk to, I'd hate to see us put new blacktop and then it get torn up,
Right, I
for a
understand.
culvert change or
Yeah,
something.
right,
I just don't
right.
want that to. I've
Well, if
seen
they
that.
do, they'll have to fix it.
That's all I'm
Yeah, but
saying.
I'm like,
They tear up our blacktop, they're gonna have to fix it.
And I know, but I mean, I hate that too.
Yeah,
You
so
know, I
we'll
mean,
check
if you're
with
gonna-
them
I mean,
and-
if you're
and
gonna put
coordinate.
in culverts, whatever, you need
Exactly,
to do
but
that before you
I
blacktop.
think they do need to do something with that water flow somehow,
Uh,
redirect it back.
I don't know
What they can do.
there at that one place where we could direct it and get it in,
Right,
where the tile is actually at.
I know,
I don't know how much ditching or whatever we'd have to do there, because there's a pretty good bank there at
Yeah,
the road.
I know.
mean, you just have to, there's some stuff going on there.
Surely the contractor is bonded and has it, like the judge just.
But now,
That's
what
what I mean.
part that he did
Fall
do
back
to
on
the
them first.
road and all that, they did take care of that,
Yeah,
they
they took
cut
care of
across
that
the
first,
road
yeah.
and they re-blacktopped it, they done their part of it.
right.
But it's just the waterfall has changed in a different direction and, it
That's
makes
tough.
it, yeah.
I
That's
think
tough.
maybe one thing we do is we have a conversation with Michaela that, especially for you with all the neighborhoods coming in your district, be made aware of applications for new stuff.
Right.
That way we can kind of make sure.
And Russ-
some-
Well, and seeing, in a lot of them, they, curb and gutter, that takes care of a lot of water. I haven't been in that subdivision, do not know if if Junction has something to back that up with having curb and gutter in their,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
know
know.
what their
I don't know if they're,
planning and zoning
yeah.
rules are in the city.
Exactly.
Right.
They're
so.
part of planning and zoning.
Right, they are.
So, I don't know, I know in the county, in the subdivisions, we want curb and gutter,
Right.
to take care of the water
I'd have
flow,
to-
so.
Yeah.
Ask more about it.
I think, reach out to Michaela and, we really should just ask her to give us all a heads up if there's anything coming in our districts.
Right.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the 2024-2025 fall paving list. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next, our interim treasurer, Shannon Greene. The first item under her is the Kroger Settlement. I would like us to pass on this until our attorney is back in town and has time to look at this. Just not comfortable with the language in it. We just want to make sure everything's okay before we actually take action. Is that okay with you all? Pass. All in favor?
All in favor?
All right, next, training incentive.
Ask permission to pay the training incentive for Magistrate Harmon.
Wow.
Make a motion.
Wow. Motion by Magistrate Bodner, second by
Jason.
Magistrate Cullen, sorry, I didn't see it.
We were all waiting.
Yeah, I was looking at Miss Paula, second by Magistrate Cullen.
With Jamie.
Can't call you Jamie today, he's not here. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Magistrate Cullen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Okay, next is Grayson's Tavern lease, and I have asked Colleen from the library if she would be here.
Did you want to see if MS needs to leave, or do you think they have enough time?
What time do you got to leave?
10:30.
10:30? Why don't you go ahead? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay,
It's-
all right.
Yeah, if
Well,
that's all right with everybody.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
I even have it on here, but I still didn't catch it.
Thank you, Magistrates. We just need a real quick approval for our striker contract. It's an annual contract we do that covers our stretchers, power loads, stair chairs, and it's preventive maintenance and repair is all built into that. So the total is $16,884.
And so pretty much this is all the equipment that is inside the ambulance.
Yeah.
And it's an annual contract.
Yes.
Okay, and, all right, motion by Magistrate Bodner, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper, any discussion on the contract?
Is it just like last year's, or did they
Yeah.
change it?
No changes.
The amount?
Just the amount, yeah, because there's some equipment that was new and then gets added each year, so
Okay.
sometimes it just, the amount changes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you.
All ambulances up and running now?
EC1 was involved in an accident. We're waiting on parts from Bob Allen, and when we get that in, we'll get it back in service as soon as we can, but it takes a little bit of time on that. So, but everything else is up and running, so
Great.
thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, next we'll go back to the Tavern lease. I've asked Colleen from the library to come, and I would like for her to explain the grant that the library received and what some of the details are about it, what it's for, how it's going to work, what you're going to be doing. So if you don't mind to come to the podium and just start from what the grant is, what it's about.
Sure. First, I would just like to introduce Maggie McAdams. She is the Story Center manager
All right.
and hired as part of the grant. And
Okay.
so she'll also be helping. She has rich history and museum work, and so she'll be talking also. So, but from the library's perspective for the application for the grant, several years ago before I started working for the library, they applied for a grant from the Mellon Foundation to create what's called the Memory Lab, which is currently located in the library, and it's upstairs on the 5th floor in the what used to be the computer lab. It's in there, and it's a bunch of equipment that can help people translate their paper or older formats of older formats of audio and video to digital. So there's all different kinds of equipment in there, 8mm film and VCR and all that kind of stuff. So the library has had that for some time, and the library staff takes appointments and trains people on how to use it, and then people can come and use it at their leisure to convert their family histories, whatever that might be, paper, digital, old films that people took of them. So that's been going on for quite some time. Because they got that grant from the Mellon Foundation those years ago, we got invited to apply for what they called a Memory Lab Expansion Grant. And the very first thing we got, it was just a form you fill out. So we fill out the form and we don't know really what it's going to mean. So then we got the application, and you could apply for any amount from, say $10,000, and the upper limit was $1 million over 5 years. So why wouldn't you go for the bigger thing? So that's what we did. I honestly really did not think that we would get it. I really didn't. Small little library in Kentucky, why would we get $1 million? But here we are.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
basically, the grant was written because we know how invested Boyle County is in its history, for very good reasons. And we also know there's already a rich history of people and groups being formed in the community to collect that history in different ways. So the idea of the Story Center is to be like an organizing principle, not to put anybody out of business. Everyone keeps on doing what they're doing, but we are going to help them digitize what they have. So for example, all those Lincoln boxes that Fort Glenn just got, we put in the grant what did we call it?
It's a sub-re-grant.
Thank you.
Sub-grant re-grant, but basically it's to help them build their own digitization.
So we will get equipment and get them set up so that they can digitize out there at Fort Glenn and not have to,
That's awesome.
come into the library.
That's awesome.
So the grant is about helping the existing historical and genealogical societies that we already have in the county, helping them do the work that they do and helping them put it in a position, or so for example, digitizing it to where it can be preserved. It also has other elements in it. So for example, accessibility, which is one of the reasons why we need another space. So one of the things about the grant is to make the equipment that we will be able to purchase with the grant very accessible to people, and to have like I wouldn't call it a storefront, but an open retail type open space where people can come in, where we can have the equipment set up so that more people can come in and digitize, and we can have volunteers to help with that. You have better words.
Is there going to be any oral history?
Excuse me?
Is there going to be any oral
Yes,
history?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, oral history.
So people can come in and tell a story?
Yes. Yep, and we're going to have,
Awesome.
yes, there's going to be that at the Story Center location, and also we will have written into the grant is a mobile digitization van that will be equipped that can go anywhere in the county. One of the tenets of the grant is to find underserved or underheard populations and make sure that we are recording the stories of the whole of Boyle County. So one of the things that I'm really interested in is the agricultural history of Boyle County. We have a really rich agricultural history, and that's an area where we really don't have anyone specifically working that I'm aware of to collect that history. So I think that one's really important, but there are a lot of others. We have partners. We signed on probably 12 partners to the grant. So we have, Fort Glenn and KSD and BCTC and Center and
Main Street
Perryville and just about everybody we could think
Soul
of.
Second Street is Michael involved?
Yes, yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have the full list in my head.
No, it's okay.
But there's if anyone you could name, I bet we got them on board when we wrote the grant. So we've already had a partners meeting with everybody, all the partners. Even before Maggie came on board, we had partners meeting to let them know what we were doing and what was going on. So the next step for the grant is for us to have a space to launch, basically, and to be able to get it up and running. So the grant will fund personnel, so Maggie's funded by the grant, and then it funds all the equipment to do the work. So we're really excited about it, and I think it's a really great opportunity for the county and for us to get our one other really fun thing that's part of the grant is later on, two things. Later on in the grant, there are two exciting things. One is to put on a storytelling festival, which celebration of the story, which can range from anything from just oral storytelling to film to video. We haven't begun to put that together yet, but that's a year 5 goal, is to have that up and running. And ideally, in my great image mind, it'll be like the counterpoint to the Great Brass Band Festival. We'll have it in the fall, so we'll have brass band in spring or in the beginning of the summer, and we'll have this to close up the summer in the fall. So there'll be another thing in Boyle County. So
would you tie that in possibly with the resurgence of the barbecue festival, maybe, or? Barbecue Festival's talking about coming back, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to talk to them about it.
So, Colleen came and talked to me about a location for them to be able to occupy, to
Launch, basically.
yeah, launch the grant. And so she asked about Grayson's Tavern. Went down there and looked at it, made sure that, you know, it was something that you all could use, that there was enough space for the equipment, you know, because you don't have the space at the library, so you need space for the equipment.
Right.
And came back and said yes, that Grayson's Tavern would work. So an agreement, a lease has been drawn up for us to participate as a community partner with the library. They will be renters, so they will be paying rent. The lease is for 1 year, which at the end of that time, it can be discussed and may be renewed for additional amount of time as agreed upon by the court. You all have had the lease there. I'm sure you already looked at it. It's basic, you know, repairs, who's going to be responsible, signage, all the different categories that go with.
Utilities.
Pardon?
Utilities.
Utilities. That will be covered in the rent. Yeah. And they also have a certificate of liability insurance for $1 million to cover any liability loss. So, at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the lease between the Boyle County Fiscal Court and the Boyle County Public Library.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Magistrate Bodner, second by Magistrate Ellis. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Judge, quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
All right.
You and I have talked. They're simply looking for a physical place to do this.
At this particular juncture, yes, we need a place to launch the Story Center, and the opportunity for Grayson's Tavern being on Constitution Square is just a really nice confluence of the history of the county and our ability to be there and be visible to the county, and people know where that is and can find us.
But that's part of my very reservations of it,
Okay.
because for more than 4 years as a magistrate, I've been one of two assigned to basically oversee some of the activities of Constitution Square. I'm a passionate historian. I had an incredible opportunity to get to know Dr. Tom Clark, and in doing studies with him informally, the history of Grayson's Tavern is the reason for the westward expansion of the United States. To have an exclusive contract on one of the most important pieces of ground that we have in all of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, I have grave reservations about going that route. We are right now poised with the Birthplace of Kentucky Committee, and I know that they have expressed concerns about multi-uses of Grayson Tavern, and this would lock it up for a minimum of 365 days, with the optimism on your part, I'm sure, of going on further, when, to me, any physical site with power and air conditioning and other things would be more than adequate. With the utilities issue coming up, I already know what deficit we've run in the past with others who've been on our campus of Constitution Square, and I think that the rental proposal is woefully lacking, especially when I understand, and I hope I'm accurate on this, that the library has $2 million in reserves, and we're looking out for the good of our taxpayers, and I think that the rent should be significantly higher for such an important venture. But I ask you, why not look to another building when we could have multi-uses that are on the table with the Birthplace of Committee of Kentucky Committee, and even recently we received a script and the opportunity to look at the walking tour, which would be scripted, including Grayson Tavern. And one of the most important aspects of the history that I've learned about Grayson Tavern is that John Speed of the European Speed family that is responsible now for Speed Museum, Speed Law School, so many things in the greater Louisville and the Kentucky area. John Speed became tired when basically our Kentucky founding fathers, with Judge Samuel McDowell, the first federal judge named by a guy named George Washington, had a group in there of 7 or 8 men, and Speed went to bed early, but listened through the cracks in the floor and talked about the extraordinary intellect, the vision, the passion that these folks had for the expansion and ultimately going from the Kentucky Territory to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I'm just a vote no, and hope that I've persuaded others to have you relook at some other location that would be more appropriate, because another thing that I have concerns with is who's going to have control, who comes and goes. But the bottom line is, to me, that is one of the most important historic locations in all of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and there are many, many other locations that you could probably rent for a fee that would be, at or below what you're offering for us. But regardless of what happens here, and I pray that we can defer this or even vote it down, if it were to be voted in, I think it's woefully unfunded for our taxpayers to get some relief from our overall budget. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Magistrate Ellis.
The Grayson is sitting empty now.
With all due respect to Magistrate Ellis, I heard the same conversation from the BOK committee 1.5 years ago when I became county judge. And that building has sat empty since then. So for the last 1.5 years, that building has been empty, even though the ideas were tossed out. BOK committee has met there once a month. On occasion, we've also met at other locations, but on occasion we have met at Grayson's Tavern. And I think the thing we need to think about here is that it's about becoming a community partner with the library, and it's sharing in the creation of restoring Boyle County history. And it is going to be about Boyle County history.
It is.
And what better place to do this at the historical Grayson's Tavern in the historical Constitution Square Park. So I am 100% in favor of partnering with the library, and I'm welcome to your all's comments.
May I respond
Yes,
a
ma'am.
little bit? I appreciate your passion, and thank you for sharing that. I wasn't aware that you had all that history, so I'm glad to know that. I can see it from your perspective, but I would also just like to offer that the reason for us inhabiting it is not to be exclusive in any way, but rather to enliven the space and to make it more accessible to people. So
But it wouldn't be accessible to all the public coming in all the time, as it could be now, with simply reservations that are often arranged by the director of the McDowell House.
Which have to be approved by myself or our county administrator.
Well, it may not reach all of your dreams, but it would allow for regular hours for it to be open, which I don't think it has now. Is that
No.
correct? So it would provide regular hours for people to come and even just look at the space and so forth. And Maggie has been in touch with the Birthplace of Kentucky Committee, haven't you?
Not recently, but the Kentucky Historical Society has an interest in helping us.
That's totally different.
No, I know.
Yes,
It's totally
that's
different. And I would also say, unless you, Maggie, or someone else is there for all the open hours, entrusting our most important building on Constitution Square to volunteers goes cross purposes with what I have seen through many, many years, including being on the board of the Farnsey Mormon House in Louisville, which is now an amazing facility for all Western Jefferson County. I have real reluctance to turn it over to, gee, who's going to come today?
Well, there would always be a staff member there.
Yeah, it's
There
not
are
really.
open hours.
There would always be a staff member there.
Well, I'll make one more point, and then I won't make any more. Under parliamentary rule, unless we can get the fee structure raised, I'm going to withdraw my second.
Okay,
All right, so we can continue to talk, I'll second it.
all right. Second by Magistrate Gay.
Yeah, so I completely understand Tom's reservations. I am shocked because given his historical, you know, how much he loves the historical nature of not only this county, but Kentucky. But, I mean, if you look at the possibilities here, I agree completely with Judge that, yes, we've been talking about doing something with Grayson's Tavern for 4 years, and nothing has happened. That was the whole point of putting together the Birthplace of Kentucky group, was one of the reasons. And then, you know, but we've still not been able to do anything. In fact, at some point, I hope we're not still paying it, but we were paying for a walking tour that nobody has ever put together. That walking tour, we paid several $1,000s that we were gonna have it done, and you know, people were gonna go around with an app and walk around and talk about it, but it never came to fruition. We paid for a whole year and nothing.
It is coming, just to let you know.
Yeah, oh, I know that, but I'm gonna hold my breath on that one. So, plus it's a nice idea that it can, I mean, it's only 1 year that we see. And who knows, maybe in a year's time, we'll have finished negotiations with the library to expand into the other communities we've talked about, Perryville and
I
Junction.
would certainly hope so, representing the little blue area up there.
Because we're very interested in Junction.
Yes, correct. And so at that point, maybe, you know, they decide, hey, we're getting a lot of interest in Perryville or in Junction, two very historical places, maybe we move it there. I mean, it's only a 1-year lease. And like the judge has said, you know, in a year and a half, nothing has happened to that, but besides it's sitting empty. And we all know empty buildings that are not looked at every day, you know, are detrimental, especially to historic properties. So have somebody in there to be able to look and see what things we need to update it to, possibly in a year or two, whenever things happen, we bring it back to light, or this becomes a big, huge success, which I think it will be. And we have a lot of people coming and going.
And that I totally support.
Okay, and then being the good partner that the library is and has been, you know, they may only need a section of it, and we can start opening up for other things, and that will introduce people to this memory lab, which would be fantastic. I mean, and again, hopefully her head's not getting big, but the judge is right. I mean, it's one of the most historic places in there, and where else would you want to go to share your history that, you know, we're historically bold, you know, city of first. There's lots there that we just need to start digitizing, and we need to have available to people. You know, we just got back from a family vacation, family reunion that we do every year, and you know, we spent a lot of time talking about, you know, my father-in-law who passed away several years ago, and you know, we all did something where we shared a memory of him, and it was sad because some of, you know, Simon and Sophie didn't have quite the memories that we all have. And when you stop talking about those things, you forget those things. Right. And so I think we have a lot of discourse in this country right now where, you know, youth don't know the history and why it's so important and why this country is so important, and the things that happened. You know, we had good things and bad things that happened, and we got to talk about that stuff, or else, you know, people are confused on it. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity to start. You know, we've started so many things in this county, but with all that EMS has done, to have various things, you know, first, this is another one that we can do. And Tom, I understand your reservation, but I fully support it, and I think it's a great use of the space. And I'll leave it at that.
I would just like to make a comment that if it goes through, would you be willing to either increase the fee or pay the utilities and make that amendment?
I think that's not fair to ask, because any money that we take away from this grant, because this is separate from the library, this is a grant, means they get less vehicles that can travel out to Perryville and Junction City, Parksville, wherever, less digitizing equipment. It's sitting empty right now. We're not getting anything for it. So I think, and
something's better than nothing.
$200 at the end of the day, it's still taxpayer dollars, because the library is funded by taxpayer dollars. And so we're just asking the taxpayers to foot more and they would get less from the services that the library offers. I mean,
Right. And
believe
this
me, I
way you're
completely
paying
understand.
less.
As somebody that's always looking to make sure that we have to pay less, this is all taxpayer dollars, you know, it's just being deviated different places.
I just restate that the library has $2 million in reserves, and it would not have to lose much money. $200 for that magnificent building
Or
is not protecting our taxpayers' dollars.
Or that-
Only $200, there's still value in having an occupant.
Yes.
There's still value, but then that's less money that they can use to look at other places to go to put a library. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, this is a partnership. This is not a money-making venture. And so, we're strengthening our relationship with the library. And I think that we will see good things because of this partnership, especially in your district and Paula's district. So,
Call a question.
All right.
I was gonna say that.
All right, question has been called. All those in favor of the motion to partner with the Boyle County Library for the use of Grayson's Tavern signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
No.
Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
We will talk about Perryville and Junction.
We will, and I had a really great talk with Ally and Tony Wilder recently, so the conversations have started, and you're next on my call list. I have a board meeting this week, so as soon as that's over, you're on the list.
when will the equipment to Forkland start heading out that way?
That's year 2 of the grant.
It's
Year
year
two.
2, but we've already had conversations with them, and
We've been out there. to
we're
visit.
working with them now, even though.
And when does the vehicle come?
Year 3.
Year 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tentatively.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard the Bodner name, and as far as Forkland, there's 2 Bodner men saw a little bitty, in Austria, saw a little bitty thing land in Boyle County, Kentucky. 2 Bodners traveled across and settled in Boyle County from a little ad in a paper in Austria. So, this is back in the 1800s, 1800s, it's a long time ago.
I'm learning as much as anybody through this
Yes,
process,
yes.
and I'm very appreciative of all of your perspectives and for the partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank y'all.
Got my husband's cousin has tons of Boyle County information. It's not.
Many minutes pretty long, so I'll just, the buttons.
Oh, thank you very much. And for the goodies.
Thank you all very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Just get with me later and we'll work
sorry.
out the details. Y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Playing quarters against the wall.
All right, that was great, healthy discussion, and I appreciate that, so thank you very much. Next, I received a letter from James Mallory, who is the Vice Chairman of the Lewis and Clark Trust from Lexington. And it has to do with the Lewis and Clark Coast to Coast Trail. And they are asking that we reach out to Representative Comer for him to introduce legislation that completes the trail from coast to coast. And so I bring this before you just to request, I guess, approval and support for me to write a letter to Representative Comer to do so.
Historic again, Judge, I make that motion.
Motion by Magistrate Ellis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. Is there any discussion on any of the information you all received?
I just think it's very exciting knowing that, St. Louis tries to claim the start of the Lewis and Clark expedition, but that is not correct, and I can historically back that up. It started here in Kentucky at the falls of the river in Louisville. And the very fact that part of the trek came through Boyle County makes this a significant move on our part of being first again.
Awesome. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries, and that letter will be drafted forthwith. All right, next is you have a Springbrook request for cancellation. Shannon, is there anything you'd like to say about this that the court needs to know other than we are canceling our business tax subscription and our license and permit subscription?
No.
Oh, that's all that we're doing, okay. So motion to approve,
Make a motion.
Magistrate Bodner, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Harmon. We are requesting a credit of $9,305.34 to be refunded to us. All those in favor of the motion? Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Late yesterday afternoon, I received the agreement from Transportation Cabinet to where they are going to pave Southwestern Pike, and the amount of that agreement is $110,000. So I have the agreement and the resolution prepared to approve moving forward with that. So I need a motion to approve signing the agreement and the resolution.
So moved.
Magistrate Harmon, is there a second? Magistrate Cullen, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Well, I'll get that signed and returned back to Transportation, and that will get on their list of paving. That will be awesome. Okay, we're up to magistrate reports, and who did I start with last time? I can't remember.
I wasn't here.
All right. Well, Mr. Ellis, we'll just start with you today. There you go.
Thank you, Judge. First of all, our big event, the Turtle Derby, is coming up Saturday,
Yes.
July 27th. Buy your turtles and be a winner. I would defer to someone else this year to be in the dunking booth. I'm getting a little
I'm not being in it.
My wife funded all the little boys in the neighborhood last year.
Yeah, and I got dunked several times.
And by the way, I believe that our public works guy might have put me in the water once or twice too.
Oh, Roger?
But seriously,
Well, anyway.
plan on coming. And pray that the rain that we get today is gentle but long and filling, because the judge knows that they had to dam up the water because there's no water there right now.
Right.
Which is kind of an impediment to the water line that's going in, being put in by Danville. So, Rick, I apologize for the fact that we've caused that a little bit of a delay. But in all seriousness, that has to happen so that the ducks can flow through the river. I have not yet, but I do need to follow through on my commitment to write a draft letter for the judge's consideration, that we try to regain control of the 2.5 or 3 acres or even more of the acreage that surrounds the Crawford House that was once owned by the county and now is held in finance in Frankfurt. So I will be getting that draft letter to the judge to go to Commissioner Meyer, Commissioner of Parks, in hopes that we can regain control of that and make it a public access area to not only enhance the Crawford House and what they've done to save that incredibly historic site, but folks need to have the opportunity to get down to the Chaplain River. It's glorious down there. Everlasting spring, that's why the Confederates were camped there all through the battle, and the headquarters of the brass was up at Crawford House. But also in that we might be able to gain control over the Boy Scout camp that was built, I believe, back, Dutch, 50 years ago, or perhaps even longer.
I'm not sure of the date, but it's been there as long as I can remember.
It's a wonderful facility. There are trees growing in and out of the windows of it right now, but I've been down there and others have been down there, and it can be salvaged. And I just know that the state won't have the funding for it, but if we can gain control of it as a property owned by the county, it would be a wonderful small park for us to have in the greater Perryville area. The burn ban remains on. I've had several phone calls because people are frustrated, but it's just too dangerous unless we get a few days of good rain. So please make sure, if you get calls from constituents and they say, gee, can I sneak a burn in here? It's just too deadly to even consider. Judge, I respectfully ask that we get either Mr. Ellis or somebody from Spectrum. I've gotten, since our last meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We're just getting a pile of calls and concerns about Spectrum coming in. And then finally, I'm real concerned about the Parks and Rec meeting that we had 10 days or so ago. We went in with one impression of what we were meeting about, and it expanded exponentially. We're passionate about our parks. We're passionate about our relationship with the city on Parks and Recreation. But I think we need to meet again and come to terms with some of the things that we were expressing concerns with in that meeting. We're certainly a half owner of Millennium Park and have other parks, including Junction and Perryville, that we need to talk again about. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I would like to, you talked about drafting the letter for the Crawford House. I believe
Well,
that,
it's actually for the grounds around it.
Yeah, the grounds around the Crawford House.
It would be a public facility. And
Okay.
Crawford would be, tangential to it.
I would feel better if we had the court's approval to draft that letter.
I agree.
So, yeah, instead of just me approving it, I would like for the court to approve it.
Thank you, I agree.
Can we put that on an agenda and have a little more information about it, or?
Oh, yeah, I'll try to have a draft at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
much better.
Thank you.
Next meeting. Thank you. Master Bodner.
Yes, Junction City Matters met for our second meeting and had a lot of people there, and still looking for more people to come in and join us. It's a kind of a recruitment event for people that are connected with Junction and want to see it grow in a certain way. So, but we have decided we're going to have an event on September the 21st at a party in the park, and it's really to get everybody aware of what we're trying to do with the park, to update the park and get everybody's buy-in and helping to keep the park updated and everything else that surrounds our small city, So it's really going to have bouncy houses and some kind of car show, and there's going to be a movie there. We're going to have a movie, so it's going to be real exciting. More information on that later. We're still just now starting to get the information there. I wanted to thank Mr. Carrier, Marshall Carrier. He fixed the leak that's been on Main Street and Lucas for a long time, and so it's fixed. They tried to fix it one time and it came back, so now it's fixed, and we're really excited about that. I appreciate it. We had wonderful fireworks for the Junction City fireworks. They were awesome. They were so fun.
I heard a lot of
my
good
goodness,
remarks
they
about those
were
fireworks.
Junction City, the city
Wow.
pays for it every year. And we had people parked everywhere, and people in their yards. Of course, if you just sit in your yard at Junction, you could see them also. It was a great event. All my family was there. And then had great fireworks at Millennium. I sat with my family in the parking lot at the old Woodlawn, and we watched that. There is some chipping going on. Still not seeing a lot of chipping. I don't know if that's just weather related. I didn't know if we were gonna, are we gonna try to get that debris from Lebanon Road out there, or what are we gonna do?
Well, that's a discussion that the court probably needs to have, and let's do that at the next meeting. I'll get some information.
Yes.
There is a lot of debris.
I'm just worried about the fall if we have some more instances of storms.
Well,
or-
and the chipper that we have is not, a year from now, there's still going to be a lot of debris.
It's a small chipper.
So
Very
my initial thoughts are, we move our chipper out to Lebanon Road to take care of the debris that's there, and we rent the big chipper
That's what we're gonna have to do.
and get Ghost Pike cleaned up, or not Ghost Pike, Allen Springs.
That was my
cleaned up.
comment earlier, yeah.
But let's bring that back
Yes.
at the next meeting,
I think that
and
is-
I'll have some more information.
Would you be willing to expedite that? I don't think it has to be on the agenda in kind of an emergency situation.
If you all want to make a motion to approve
It's
renting.
not an emergency.
Not an emergency.
It's not an emergency.
Well,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything. Like, if it was emergency, then we would have already moved the chipper, and we'd have taken care of that problem. So it's getting to be that way. I just don't want to keep using emergency, throwing it around, especially without counsel
We can
here.
wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I
It'll
mean,
be
it's
fine. Yeah,
not
it'll
gonna
be fine.
We got
make
a
us or
storm
break us
coming
in
up.
2 weeks.
Right.
There'll be more after
Right,
this one.
right. It's, yeah, we just need to definitely address that.
Now, that's just, just food for thought. So
Yes.
just be
Yeah.
thinking about that in the next 2 weeks.
And I hear Angie's looking at some new chairs. Dan needs a new chair, bad on his back, so I hear she's gonna look for all of them a new chair, so I'll be glad to see when he gets that. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Master Boner. Master Harmon?
Don't have a lot to report or anything, but I would like to see us look at encouraging our city government to take care of the south end of Danville. And if a child goes to a water park or a water station, they either have to go down to Second Street or further out, sometimes up to 6 miles to get to that location. And at our meeting we had the other week at City Hall with not a council, commissioners. And we do have one here, and he's faithful.
Yes, he
I'll
is.
say he's
He
faithful.
is. Yeah.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, and I think some things can be done on the south end need to be done. And as far as our part in it, that's the thing about being a magistrate and your boundaries of the city. We tend to overlap, and we get that. And any way we can help with the city in that, to encourage it, we need that on the south end. We got too many kids. We got 6 bus loads of kids every morning, children, that ride the buses when school's in. So they're out there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know how many, but it's a bunch. I used to take 3 bus loads myself on the bus I drove.
Yeah.
There's probably that many or more now that live in there.
All right.
I think what we need to do too for you is further this conversation along about the pipeline, get that road opened.
That was
Where
exactly where I was going.
Oh,
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A,
is with
yeah.
that.
You know,
I would like to know, since we did do the TIF, I would like to know how much deeper that has to be and why we can't mitigate it that with adding dirt to the top.
Yeah, this is exactly where I was gonna go, because the newspaper accounts of this were that it would be open April 30th, and now it is July the 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
Now they're in litigation,
Um,
which means it's not gonna happen for years.
Right.
We
Yeah.
can't do,
I mean,
we can't be held hostage, so we need to figure a way to, instead of digging down, add some on top, and it might make that road a little higher, but at least it's gonna be accessible.
Right.
And there's more development there than just Chick-fil-A. I'm passionate to get them, the customers that
Yes.
we've promised them. But beyond that, they've prepared all that ground for other things that are hampered by that road not being in. Please, talk to your mayor and others.
I'd be glad to weigh in.
Yes.
I think you should contact city manager. Last time we got the report that the mitigation has been resolved.
Oh,
And
great.
we'll move forward, so
Oh, great.
they can give you the details.
Strike my
That's what we were
comments.
told.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is great news.
That is awesome.
That's great
We were-
news, thank you.
We were driving down the bypass and the light was there and somebody went over to turn in to that place. And then when we took off, they skidded out in front of us. We didn't even know they were there. So it's a dangerous thing. So
Yeah,
that's
dangerous.
awesome. Yeah.
Sooner the better. Let's have a ribbon cutting out
Yeah.
there. It's worth it.
I get the left lane and stay in it.
Yeah. Measure Cullen.
I'm gonna echo Tom on good old Ben and Spectrum.
Yeah.
We need them out here for multiple reasons.
I've asked.
But I think, and I thought about this yesterday when we were talking with Amanda, but I think we need something from the state. Because if I read correctly the other day, they're getting ready to release another $1 billion, I think the federal
Correct.
government, another $1 billion for broadband.
Yeah.
And,
We have nothing.
and that's gonna do us absolutely no good if we cannot streamline the pole lease situation, because I really think that's where we're being held up is, you know, they went from 230 pole leases a year to now like 2,300 a month. And so we need somehow help from the state It's kind of like where it was the unfunded mandate from a couple years ago on SROs, and then they put money in there. We need them to fix this situation where it's bottleneck. We also need a contact of the people that are doing the work, because I've got some problems on 52 where they're cutting down trees and they're just leaving them. And I would like to see, and I'm not going to look at Roger when I say this, but
Don't look
if,
right.
I mean, similar to what we do with solid waste, when somebody doesn't mow their lawn, if we have to go out there and take care of it, then we send them the bill.
Good.
And because we cannot sit here and wait for them, try to find a contact, and then wait for them to come clean it up, 6 months down the road.
Right.
Especially when it's on people's property and they have to now mow around these big, huge trees or whatever.
And that is Spectrum that's doing that?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
They hire the contractor.
they hired the subcon. We had
Subs.
Jerry, Ben, and then there was another gentleman that represented the contractors here a few months ago that were telling us everything was moving smoothly. But
Okay.
we're still having problems, especially on 52, where they just drop limbs and don't pick them up.
Okay.
If you're going to drop limbs, you need to take them that day.
Yeah.
So, but if Roger has to go get them, I think he gets paid triple. So
You wouldn't turn it
Sounds
down.
good to me.
Sounds
we'll,
good.
we'll buy you one of those little cranes that comes and just picks them up.
Hey.
We'll get you new toys.
Yeah. that'll work.
While we're talking about getting people here to talk about, I think we need to re-up and speak with our people that are our engineers for the Buster Pike Bridge. I've reached out to, I think it's Laura, and I haven't heard back from her, which is not usual, so.
That's very unusual.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give her a call again today, but I think we need, at a minimum, have them come into your office and give an update or before the court, because,
Okay.
it's a little ridiculous. If you cannot find something to do in this town this time of year, you are not looking hard enough. The library is just got something going on
Every day.
every day, all day, and that's my excitement for the possible, moving of stuff out to Junction and to Paragould. Just seeing that same enthusiasm in those places, and rotating stuff around. Speaking of things to do, Paragould's got its summer nights. They've had a couple good events. I've unfortunately been gone, but there's one August 2nd I'm looking at going to, so I'm excited about that. And then can we talk to the newspaper about maybe coming and joining our meetings again?
We can, they watch.
Yeah,
but-
that's.
Yeah.
And they have a new publisher.
Yeah.
That has changed, so.
I'm sorry, that's lazy journalism, because things get put in the paper, 3 weeks down the road, where we've already had another meeting, and it's just.
I will send out an invite for them to.
Was it Ben that was always here? We didn't always agree, but man, I appreciated his persistence being at these fiscal court meetings when he was still in town.
Okay.
So.
Judge, did I send you that publisher's name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Big event for all of us is the back to school block party on 7/27, 12 to 9. We are a sponsor of that. It's a great event. Gets kids ready for school. So let's make sure that we attend and also spread the word, because that's, not that you really need to, but that's a happening event.
Oh, yeah.
That's
It's
the
always
Millennium.
Millennium Park, correct, yep. And then, I want to thank Rick for being here. Rick, I'm sorry that we put you on the spot so much. We can figure a way
He
to
can
disguise
take it.
you if you want.
He's-
And
But
then
this way you can enlighten us and we don't have to just wonder.
Well, you brought great news.
Yes.
I was glad I could share some fresh news, because that's been a concern
Yeah.
on the
Yes.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Right, no,
awesome.
very much.
Yeah.
And then good to have JJ here from Economic Development. And JJ, do you have anything you want to share? Or?
Just proud of all the work everybody's doing and keep moving the county forward each and every day.
Perfect. And then good to see Carrie here too.
Yeah.
So,
Me?
yes.
Yeah.
Humane
Yeah.
Society.
Thanks for being here.
We're different organizations, but when we look out at other counties and see the overcrowding, the issues, the problems, all of the hard work and family infighting sometimes is all worth it to make sure that, you're not one catching headlines like that, so.
I can't remember, I saw on Facebook the number that was adopted in June,
71,
71.
which far exceeds the entire first quarter,
Yeah.
which was
It's like 50
51.
the first quarter, and
Yeah.
70
50
one month.
something,
That's
so
awesome.
Pretty
it
awesome.
is,
That's really
it
awesome.
Didn't you have a bring in a feral cat day coming up?
You and I can discuss that later. How's that sound?
We'll discuss that with Angie and the tires. Anyway, but we do appreciate the success stories that we have here in this community, like I said. So anyway, I think that's all I have. Just appreciate everybody. Appreciate 4th of July that we just had, and the remembering this. There's a lot of people that fought to make this country have the freedoms we have, and I'm very grateful for it. So thank you.
Me as well. All right, and Magistrate Gay is out today, so that brings us to Magistrate Sleeper.
I have just one item. Last court session, I reported on the cooling center we had, and we had it here in this room, and it wasn't the most conducive facility for getting people to come in, and we approached several facilities, and they all had legitimate reasons for not wanting to do it, but Ben Grant stepped up and is offering the gathering place for a cooling center and a warming center, whatever needs we have, so we really appreciate Ben doing that.
That's good,
Yeah.
that's great.
Answered
Yeah.
a big problem we have, some solutions, so.
Forgot one thing, sorry.
Okay.
I'm done.
I'll take Jamie's time.
Okay.
This morning, the EMS committee met. It was myself, Magistrate Bodner, Mike Rogers, Tim Bryant, Mo, and Mark Smith. We talked about EC1 update. We're waiting on parts, and that was the vehicle that was had an accident out on 127. There was a bad accident out there, and EC1 was responding, heading out. Somebody was a little impatient, did a U-turn right into EC1. And so that's why it's down, and sadly that's our newest vehicle. So please, watch out for the lights for all of our first responders. We talked about the Stryker ProCare contract, which is fantastic. Runs for June were 544. That's actually down a little bit, so but still a lot of runs, but And then Mark gave the update on Terry's community outreach, which some things are positive, some things are negative. Please, if you have nowhere else to turn to, and you have somebody that suffers from mental health issues, at least you can reach out. I know people in our EMS, Terry and Mark specifically, would love to put you in touch and get you the education information you might need. So they're a fantastic resource. And then Mo has been doing an amazing job with education for our EMS staff, and we are proud that we have a new paramedic. Ms. Metcalf is passed, and so that's another added value to our people here, and so go ahead and submit that for approval.
All right, that's your motion?
Still is.
Motion to approve EMS committee report, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Ellis. Any discussion on Magistrate Cullen's report?
Just one more thing, I'm glad he mentioned that accident. AAA recommends something that none of us do. I've done it for years because I heard about this many years ago. Even if that ambulance or police officer or state trooper is a half mile away, when you hear it or see it, turn your flashers on, because that tells the people behind you what's going on. More importantly, it tells the ambulance that they know that you see them coming or hear them coming. So just hit your flasher, and all of a sudden people will slow down behind you, and the ambulance coming at you will understand that you will be out of the way.
Good advice.
Everyone's Googling what AAA is right now.
All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, county attorney should be back this week, so we pray for safe travels for him. Also, I'd like to mention you all got an invitation to the Farm City Breakfast. That's going to be on July the 23rd. Begins at 7:30 a.m. at the Extension District. And you do need to RSVP, so if you haven't done that, please RSVP.
Very important meeting, please come.
Yeah, and it's also our fiscal court meeting date, so I've already reached out to Terry Gilbert and told her that I personally would, make a quick stop, eat, and then have to leave and come to our meeting. But, if you at least go and eat.
No donuts that morning.
Pardon?
No donuts then that morning?
No donuts that morning, you better go out there and eat. And of course, food will be prepared by Chaplain River Catering, who, those of you that have eaten their catering know that it is very good food.
Delicious.
It'll be a very good breakfast. And then I want to show you all this. Well, I'm just going to leave it taped up because it's fine. Julie was in the basement looking for something, and in an old file cabinet in our county judges, county treasurer, whatever, our county room, she opened the door, and lo and behold, here was this picture of the courthouse.
Ooh.
And it's an oil painting by Jim Hardy, Hardy. You can't find any, or I can't find any information on Jim Hardy other than he was a painter, an artist. So Janet Hamner took this to Hobby Lobby and had it framed, and she brought this back to me yesterday, and so we'll put it up either in here or in the office somewhere, but I wanted you all to see it. I don't know how old it is, and so if anybody can find out anything about Jim Hardy, let me know.
Pretty remarkable. It almost looks 3D.
It is amazing, yeah. And for it to still be in this good shape too. So, wanted to show you all that. And also, let me get my glasses on here. I would like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Leo Hill today. Leo passed away a week or so ago, and he worked at Intercounty RECC for several years. He was the director there. He was a longtime fellow Kiwanian, so he was a really good buddy of mine and always had a good story to tell me at our Kiwanis meetings. And he really just was a friend of the community because he took pride in everything that he did. He was a veteran, and he just, was a good man, and he did a lot of community service for our county. So I would like, in the motion to adjourn, if we could just adjourn in memory of Leo Hill. And I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Magistrate Bodner, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Sleeper. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're adjourned.